Hello, good morning. Welcome to this FK webinar. Today we will tell you everything about eye catchers. We often get questions about eye catchers in all different kind of sizes and shapes. We will tell you everything about the different options, and I can already say to you it's really a lot what we can make. There's no need to make any notes. You will receive an email after this webinar, and it is even possible to watch the webinar again. If you have any questions in the meantime, please send us a message via the chat, and we try to answer all the messages during the webinar. If it's not possible to do it during the webinar, you will definitely receive an answer afterwards. My name is Harold Klare. I'm the International Sales Manager at FK, and next to me we have...
I'm Max Schatz. I work in sales for the export department. And behind the scenes, we have support from Derian, who does the technical support, and Joost, who's manning the chat. So if you have any questions, you can send them to us. Joost will read them and give them to me. If it's something that we can easily answer during the webinar, if it's a bit of a bigger question that needs a bit of explaining, you will get a message afterwards, or we can write you an email. So all questions will be answered, maybe not during the webinar, but definitely afterwards. And don't worry, all the questions and all the chats are private. So if you have a question, then only we can see it. It's not a public chat, so don't be afraid to ask any questions that you have.
Yeah. First, we will start with a small introduction about the company FK. FK is founded already a long time ago. It was 1888. And we always made frames, but in the beginning it were always wooden picture frames. From 2010 we started with aluminium textile frames, and at the moment we have roughly 400 kilometers of profiles in stock. We have them in stock in 3 colors, so we have everything or almost everything in silver, in white and in black. And further we have 7 allomatic sewing machines, so we have a capacity to produce circa 1,200 frames a day.
Yeah, and that capacity is definitely needed at the moment. Yeah,
and we are very lucky with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We noticed that we are getting a lot of questions and requests for special frames. It's getting more and more interesting for customers to do that. So that's why we wanted to explain what we can do, basically. So we have about 3 rough categories for that. The first one is 3-dimensional frames. So instead of just the regular 1- or 2-sided frame, we can go into depth. So we can make a cube or something, which is especially attractive for trade fairs, for example, for booths. The second category is curved frames. We can bend our profiles in different ways, in different shapes, to form circles or curved frames. We're going to explain all of that during the webinar. And the third category is a bit special shapes. So something that cannot be described in one word, basically, with special angles or combinations of different kinds of shapes. And that's really very much dependent on what you want. So we will always try to find a good solution. If you have an idea, if your customer is asking for something and you're not sure, you can always ask us, and usually we can find a very nice solution for you. We're going to go a bit into depth now, and Harold is going to start with the 3-dimensional frames.
Yeah. Can I have the sample of it?
Absolutely.
Then I can show it, of course. Now, a lot of our customers use 3-dimensional frames. It is quite often, for example, by exhibitions, the booth that you have a nice banner. And you can make the banner in 3 dimensions. Usually you have a frame, and if you go around the corner, then you can make, for example, an L shape, and that is what we call a 3-dimensional frame. In this case, you see a frame where it's possible to put the print on the outside and on the inside of the frame. So to explain it a little bit better, we made it out of a double 80 profile, and you have the outside and the inside, so a double-sided frame. And for the corners, what you see here, we use the carré 80. And what is nice about the carré 80, from a distance, it looks seamless. so you don't see the seam in between the two prints. In this case, we made an O shape. So by an O shape, you have 4 carré profiles in the corners, but you can also make an L shape, like I explained before, or a U shape, and then you use 2 of them.
Yes. We already have a question for that. How big can we make those frames?
Oh, that's a very good question. We can make them very, very big, very huge. But it also depends on the size of the print, of course. I know a lot of our customers print either in 320 or in 5 meters. And it is possible to make these kind of frames with maximum 5 meters high. But if you look to the total dimensions, yeah, it is possible to make 5 by 10 meters or 5 by 15 meters. So there's no limitation in that direction.
Absolutely. And another question, can we illuminate these frames? Can we make them with LED?
That's a good question. I already wanted to tell it afterwards, but I can say it directly, and it is easy to explain. What you see here, that is a carré shape in an O formation, and the carré is in this case a carré 80 for the double 80 profile. If you want to have it illuminated, we can make it illuminated, but only in a depth of 160 millimeters. So it's a little bit deeper, and that is what you use to have a nice illumination that you don't see the shadows, for example. If you have the 160 in combination with the carré 160, the carré is much smaller to avoid shadow in the corners, of course. And we offer those kind of frames with edge-lit, so either on the bottom and the top, or with backlit, and backlit is in the middle, and then we can put the LED strips either on the stabilizer or on the debond plate in the middle. That's the explanation.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I will tell you about other shapes as well. So I will remove this sample. Yeah, and the sample we have here, that's called a cube sample. So you can make cube shapes, and by cube shapes, it is possible to put the print on 6 sides of the construction, so on all sides. So if you have this, for example, on an exhibition, a booth, a stand, you don't see the construction, you only see the print. So that looks perfect, really an eye catcher. It's made like this. We have a profile, it's called the cube profile from aluminium. And we have a plastic corner connector, and that is exactly what you see here in the corners. So that's this thing. And we can even make shapes like this illuminated as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you have larger constructions, then you need a heavier construction as well. The heavier construction we have, that is called the quattro profile. And you see this is a corner with already 3 legs, so to all sides. So if you use this in combination with the quattro profile, you can make huge constructions in this shape.
Yeah, that's what we use to make our booth for trade fairs. Very sturdy profile indeed.
Yeah, by Euroshop and by the festival,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah,
Yes.
Very nice. Max, are there already questions in the chat?
No, there are no new questions.
Oh, okay. Then we will continue with the next one.
Exactly. If you have any questions, also later, you can always keep asking them. You don't have to think it's you missed your opportunity.
No, we try to answer. Yeah. Hey, Max will tell you now everything about curved frames.
Yes. So curved frames are possible in 2 different dimensions. So the first one is what we have here. It's a circle. That means that the fabric that we have will be in the shape of a circle. So we bend the profile with the front part being curved in this way, that we have a circle. We can create these circles in depths of between 19 millimeters for single-sided or up to 160 millimeters. We have double-sided versions, and we can even include backlighting, so a die-bond plate with LEDs. We have really a lot of different versions of this, a lot of possibilities. You can also combine these curved parts with straight parts, so you can create a bit of a special shape. It doesn't always need to be one full circle. The other way we can bend these profiles is basically by turning the whole thing 90 degrees, and then we curve it along the shape. So the fabric that will be fitted to this will still be in a rectangular shape. It will just follow the curvature of the frame. This is a nice solution. You can make it freestanding, double-sided. We can have it hanging, or also just wall mounted. So if you have, for example, a staircase or another wall that you want to hide a bit with a nice curved shape, you can definitely do that. You can again combine these curved parts with straight parts to create special shapes. So if you want to have a nice feature in your booth, for example, that instead of two straight frames connecting in the corner, you want to have a round shape, that's definitely possible. And we can also go all the way around and create a full circle, and then we have a cylinder that can take two fabrics, one on the outside, one on the inside, just in a curved shape.
Maybe it's good to mention as well, you can find all the profiles we can bend on our internet site by curved frames.
Absolutely, yeah. There is a list. So if you are wondering if it's possible or not, there is a list on the website, and they can also find the minimum radii. We can make a circle, like I showed in the beginning, with a minimum diameter of 600 millimeters. With illumination, the minimum is 800 millimeters. There's really no limit to how big the radius can be, but the minimum radius you can definitely find on the website. We have a question if the curved frames can also be supplied illuminated.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that is possible. So if you look on our website, you can find the profiles we bend, and you can find the lightbox profiles we can bend. So we can bend, for example, in a circle shape by the lightbox 1100, and then we put a debond plate in the back side, and then you have LED on debond, like for example the lightbox 60. A lot of our customers use that lightbox, and that is especially a lightbox we sell quite often in a circle shape.
Yeah. For a curved frame, so not a circle, but a curved frame, the second solution I showed you, we cannot use the edge lighting because that is on straight strips. So of course we want to follow the curvature, but we can create that effect with stabilizers. So we put the LEDs on the stabilizers over the whole back of the frame. It can only be done in a certain bigger radius. Of course, it cannot be too small, but it's definitely possible. Then we'll move on to the examples. We told you a bit about what is possible, and we're now going to show you a couple of examples from our customers that we created together with them. And the first one is by Project 2000, and it is a combination of straight profiles with curved profiles, and Harald will tell you a bit about the details.
Yeah, in this case, our client asked us to make a huge banner on 3 sides of the stand. And the wish was to make round corners at the edges. And what you see here, we used the Carré 80 in the corner. And like I told you before, it almost looks like it is seamless. So you hardly see the seam from a distance. So you only see the red banner above. What makes it very nice in this case, really an eye catcher, is that the curving has a different radius on the bottom and on the top side of the frame. And I will show you something how this is created. Yeah. So in this case, we used our 80 profile for the huge banner. That is for the straight parts. So for the corner, we used the Carré 80, and this is one part of a shape, but in the case of the banner, we made a smaller radius. But here you see how we bend a material like this. So we used standard products of FK to make a special effect, so to make an eye catcher. Yeah, the next picture we will show is a project from our customer 6 Cents. And Max will tell you about this project.
Yes. Before I do, we have another questions. Are we creating install drawing for those special shapes?
Yeah, we usually do, and maybe it's good to know how we start with projects like this. Usually, we get an inquiry from our customer. A customer usually sends us a drawing, what the idea is, and then we can see, okay, with which kind of profiles we can make it. Then we make the offer to our customer, and if the price is okay, and we will receive the order, then we start to make a technical drawing. We send the technical drawing for okay to our customer, and as soon as we have the okay, we will start with the production time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So moving on to the next example that you can already see. As you can see, it's a very different shape, but it was actually created with the same profiles that we had in the previous example. So what the customer wanted to create here is basically an infinity symbol, which is a figure 8, basically. And how we did that is we again used the double 80 and curved it in an S shape. And we actually used 2 frames of double 80 with 2 times the S next to each other. So you can also see that we can bend the profiles in 2 different directions and combine them. It doesn't need to be in one side. You can also do curves and like an S shape like you can see here. At the end, they are again combined with the carry 80 profile to have the ends be with straight edges, then going over into the S shape and ending again with a straight edge. What you can see at the bottom of this frame is that the customer also fitted it with a custom die bond plate, which is red and even fitted with LED lights. So that's also another good example of how our frames can be customized further by our customers to really create very unique solutions. And I think indeed an eye catcher this one was.
Yeah, and that's the cooperation we have with our customers as well. We take care for the frame, and quite often our customers they develop or they produce accessories to combine it with our frames.
Yeah, definitely. Right, the next example we have, Harold will explain.
Yeah. That's a project from our customer Grip project. And the question we got is if it is possible to make a frame with an ambilight effect, like you have sometimes by a TV screen. And what we did, we curved a frame, only a textile frame, so without illumination. And the special effect is here on the back side of the frame. And I will tell you a little bit about it with this sample. So Max already has the sample here. In this case, we have it not in a round shape, but the idea is exactly the same. What we did, we put a D-bond plate on the back side of the textile frame, and we put the LED strips on. So we put 2 LED strips next to each other around the circle, and that gives the eye catcher effect, the ambilight effect on the back side, of course. And you see that it is glowing on the wall in this case.
Yeah. Very cool solution.
Yeah. Are there any extra questions in the chat at the moment?
No, there are no more questions.
No more questions. Okay, then we will continue with the next project. And now we will show a picture of our customer Media Moments.
Yes, and what you can see here is an arc. So basically an entrance way. And what we did here is we used our double 200 profiles, so the widest profile we have. And on the outside, going around, is basically a normal frame as you know it. But then on the inside, we have used the same profile, but cut the angle on the exact opposite way so that the frame is basically inside out to create the inside of the arch. And the 2 profiles can then be connected with stabilizers that are made exactly to measure so that we have consistent gap between the 2 profiles. And the whole construction is very stable, so you can use it as an entranceway for an event.
Maybe good to tell as well, constructions like this in smaller shapes are used quite often for frames where they want to have a TV screen in the middle, for example.
Absolutely.
So that, then you can use the same construction, of course.
Or if you want to cover a wall that has a window, we can just leave a gap in the middle for the window and use a construction like this with an inside-out frame, basically. What the customer did here with the fabric is that the outside was fitted with a standard keeter that was sewn to the fabric. But on the inside, they did not sew the keeter to the fabric, but they instead used a plug-in strip, which is basically a loose silicone keeter that you can then press into the profile to create really all the tension that you might need. This silicone keeter we can also supply on a roll, and then you can just cut it to measure for whatever project you need it. But that way you can definitely make sure that the fabric fits perfectly for that situation.
Yeah, you can search it on our website as well. If you search for plug-in strip, you will find the right product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Are there any chats at the moment? Any questions? No, not. The last project, the last picture we will show at the moment is a project from our customer Gielissen, and Max will tell you everything about it.
Yes, that is another example of just special corners. So we use straight profile here as you would with the normal rectangular frames, but instead of 90 degrees corners, the corners are different, special in this case, to create a bit of a trapezium effect. How we did that is we basically cut the corners instead of the 45 degrees, we cut them at a special angle. And then in this case, it was made with a Lightbox 120 profile. We have a special lock set that we can use, and that can be adjusted. It has a hinge in the middle to accommodate any angle you might need. So a shallow one at the bottom and a more steep one at the top, for example. For bigger profiles that we have that do not use our standard lock set, we will create a custom lock set. So if you have, for example, a Lightbox double 200, we can then create a custom lock set, fixed lock set for that special angle. And that will also make it very sturdy, so you do not have to worry about stability. In this case, the whole frame was also illuminated. But as you can see, the fabric is very light and in a single color. So while it would be possible to create this frame with edge lighting, so just LEDs on the top and bottom, in this case, we decided that it would be better to have a backlighting over the entire frame. So there is a custom diamond plate in that frame that was also created with the angles, so it would fit perfectly. And the LEDs are mounted directly on the die bond to give this very even lighting.
Yeah, what is maybe good to mention, I think a lot of our customers already know it, we have an advice plan. It is always important that your customer is happy, so you need to sell the right products to your customer. And we made a step-by-step advice plan for textile frames. We made it in the same brochure for LED frames, but also for curved frames and for 3D frames. If you go to it step by step, you will find definitely the right product. And you, of course, have the possibility to calculate it yourself in the online calculator.
Yeah, and if there's a solution that you maybe cannot find or you're unsure if it's possible, always give us a call or write us an email, and then we'll find a good solution for you.
Yeah, but like I told you, you'll find the brochure on the website as well, but you will find a lot of information, a lot of neutral documents as well in the website. So if you go to a product and you want to have, for example, the technical specifications, you will find it by every product. But further, and that's more based on the eye-catchers we told you about today, if you want to see more pictures, we have a picture gallery on the website, an image bank, and further we have an inspiration page as well. So you can use all those pictures, and they're all without the FK name, so you can use them under your own brand as well.
If you cannot find any of the pictures or the galleries, that's probably because you're logged into the calculator. So if you're in the web shop where you can put in the measurements of the frames and you will get a price, then you need to log out of that calculator, and then we'll bring you back to our regular website, just fk.nl, and there you can find all the pictures and all the data sheets, etc.
Okay, Max, and before we will end this webinar, are there any questions in the chat at the moment?
We answered all the questions that I have here. If there is a question that was not answered yet, we will get back to you via email.
Yeah. And on the other hand, if you have a question afterwards, you can always call us or send us an email. That's no problem. Yeah. After this webinar, we will send you an email with all the information. So it's even possible to watch the webinar again. And further, don't switch off immediately. We will have a survey, and I hope you will answer all the questions that will help us to improve webinars like this in future, of course. Yeah, for now, thanks, and see you next time.
Yes, have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.